بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله تبارك وتعالى فأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتساءلون قال قائل منهم إني كان لي قرين يقول أئنك لمن المصدقين صدق الله العظيم اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد عدد ما ذكره الذاكرون وصل على سيدنا مولانا محمد عدد ما غفل عن ذكره الغافلون اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد أفضل صلواتك بعدد معلوماتك. My respected brothers and sisters and honorable elders, there's one thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to all of us. And we make decision, we decide how to use that or how to spend it. And that is the wealth of time. Time is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to every human being. Regardless of their wealth, regardless of their color, regardless of their race, regardless of any power or weakness or health, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given time to everyone. And whoever has time, then they decide how to spend that time, how to use that time. We can either use the time or we can waste it. There are only two ways. We can benefit from the time that Allah has given us, or we can simply waste it. So if we benefit from the time that Allah has given us, then we accomplish our goals and we succeed. And if we waste our time, then the time will never come back. Once this second is past, it will never return. Even if you were to do everything in your power to bring back a second, not a minute, not an hour, not a day, but a second that has passed, you can never do that. So this is a commodity. This is a wealth that is never replenished. Once it's gone forever. The second and the minute and the day, once it's gone forever. But there is a tomorrow. And there are two tomorrows. There's one tomorrow that is uncertain, illusory, imaginary. And there's one tomorrow that is definite, that is certain, that is for sure, and that is going to come inevitably. So that day is inevitable, definite, and certain. Let us take a look at these two tomorrows. The tomorrow that is uncertain, unsure, and imaginary. And there is the tomorrow that is certain and definite. And it is going to come regardless. It is inevitable. So the tomorrow that is inevitable and true, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about that tomorrow, ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقِّ. That day is the true day. There is no doubt about it. When Allah uses the word haqq, it means there is not even a slightest doubt in its truth. It is a day that is going to happen, that is going to come, that is going to occur. There is no doubt about it. فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ مَآبًا. Once you have understood, once you have realized that that day, that tomorrow will come inevitably, then whoever believes in it, he should choose his path to his Lord, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ مَآبًا. He should make his decisions accordingly. He should live this life that Allah has given before that day. So there is today, which is this life, and there is tomorrow, which is the hereafter. So he should make his decisions wisely. Now let's take a look at these two tomorrows. Let's imagine the things that can happen tomorrow. Let's take a look at the tomorrow of this world, which is not certain. No one knows whether tomorrow will come or not, whether we will live to see tomorrow or not, whether he or she will live to see tomorrow or not. But let's take a test of the contrast. Let's compare it. The concept of our tomorrow, the tomorrow of this world we have in our mind, and the concept of tomorrow, of hereafter, that we have in our mind. Now let's imagine everything, all the bad things that can happen tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I literally mean tomorrow, Saturday. All the bad things and the worst thing that can happen tomorrow. Let's take what we call the worst case analysis. All the worst that can happen tomorrow. Let's imagine in our mind. And I don't need to remind you all the terrible things that can happen in a single day. But just imagine in your mind the terrible things that can happen to you personally. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save all of us from all the bad things, from all the terrible things. But just for the sake of learning. So we can understand the lesson. We can understand the outcome. What I'm trying to say, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has delivered in Quran, and what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his predecessors did to their ummahs, to their people, for the sake of understanding, for the sake of learning. Let's imagine all the terrible things, all the worst things that can happen tomorrow. And then, here's another question. Once you have imagined all the terrible things that can happen to you tomorrow, now let's imagine this. How long will the pain and suffering and the grief will last from that tragedy, that calamity that can happen? How long will the effect of that, and how long will the grief and pain of that will last? You can answer it for yourself, but I will say the answers. First of all, there is no certainty and there is no possibility that every worst thing that you imagine in your mind will happen tomorrow. There is no possibility. Because some worst imaginations are self-contradictory. If that comes, then the pain will not come. The suffering will not come. If one thing comes, the other thing may not come. So, first of all, not every possible thing that we imagine in our mind and we put on the paper will not happen. Second, the answer to the second question. And the second question was that how long the pain and suffering and the grief will last for. The answer to that question is that the pain and suffering will not last forever. The most it may last for is your life. And with the end of your life, when the death comes, all the sufferings will come to an end. All that pain, all that grief. And by most means, all of this will be gone in a short period of time. This is the life. This is how the life is designed. This is how the life is built. The grief and pain doesn't last forever. But let's say it does last for the entire life of that person. But a time will come that that suffering, that pain, and that grief will all come to an end. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Quran, فَأَقْبَلَ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ, that the dwellers of paradise, the people who have been given the admission into the heaven, into Jannah, they will be having conversations. They will ask questions to each other. So the tomorrow that is going to come forever, let's take an analysis of that. So the tomorrow that is going to come forever, let's say, all the bad things that can happen in that tomorrow, the tomorrow of hereafter, all the worst things that can happen. And then also ask yourselves, how long will the pain and suffering of that tomorrow will last for? So the answer to both is that everything that you can imagine worse for that life, for that tomorrow, is possible to happen. And also, the answer to the second question, how long will the suffering of that life last for? How long the pain of that tomorrow will last for? The answer is, there is no end. Indefinitely. Forever. Because those who will be in pain and suffering in the hereafter, on that tomorrow, their suffering will never come to an end. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran, فَأَقْبَلَ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ. These people, they will have a conversation, they will be asking questions from each other. They're all in paradise, they're all in heaven, and they're asking each other questions, casual questions. يَقُولُ قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ إِنِّي كَانَ لِي قَرِينٌ. So one person will say that I used to have a friend, I used to have a companion. يَقُولُ أَإِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُصَدِّقِينَ. And he used to say to me, do you believe in the day of judgment? Do you believe in the day of resurrection? إِذَا مِتْنَا وَكُنَّا تُرَابًا وَعِظَامًا أَإِنَّا لَمَدِينُونَ. Shall we be recompensed once we have died and we have turned into bones and dust? So this person who was asking questions, he basically did not believe in the day of judgment. He did not believe in that tomorrow. He had no faith in that. He said, do you really believe in the day of judgment? Because when we have died and when we have turned into bones and dust, there is no possibility that we will be resurrected and we will be recompensed. We will be rewarded or punished for the things that we do in this life, in this world. قَالَ هَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُطَّلِعُونَ. So, angels will say to them, do you really want to look at that person who used to ask these questions? Who used to come to you and say, do you really believe in the day of judgment? You want to look at that person? I can show you that person and where he is. فَطَّلَعَ. So he will look down from the heaven where he will be living. He will look down at his friend, at his companion who used to ask these questions. Do you really believe in the day of judgment? فَطَّلَعَ. When he will look down, فَرَآهُ فِي سَوَاءِ الْجَحِيمِ. He will see his old friend, he will see his companion in the hellfire. قَالَ تَاللَّهِ إِنْ كِدْتَ لَتُرْدِينَ. Now he will say to that companion, he will say, I swear by Allah, you had nearly destroyed me. Because if I had followed your instincts, if I had followed what you believe, so if I had denied the day of resurrection, if I had denied and disbelieved in Allah, I would have been burning and tormented in hellfire with you. So he will say, Tallahi in kidda laturdin. I swear by Allah, you had nearly destroyed me. And this ayah also makes us understand the evil effect of the evil companionship. If you have bad friends, there's always that danger that the friendship of your evil friends will somehow influence you. If you have friends who drink liquor openly and who are proud of those traditions, who are proud of that, you will have less of abhorrence in your heart for drinking wine. You will say, it's okay. It's something that's harmless. It's something that's acceptable. So, when you have bad friends, when you have bad companions, it is inevitable that the thoughts of those bad companions will have some sort of influence on your thoughts as well, and on your understanding as well. So, he said, Allah saved me. If Allah had not saved me from your bad thoughts, from your disbeliefs, from your crookedness, I would have been inclined towards your thought, and I would have denied the day of judgment, and I would have disbelieved in Allah. If the blessing of Allah, blessing of my Lord was not with me, today I would have been brought to the torment and punishment as well. Then they will say to each other that were we not told that there is only one death? And we will not be punished. So once the people of paradise have gone into paradise, and the people of hellfire have gone into hellfire, an angel will make the announcement, Ya ashab al-jannah, khuludun, wala tamutun. That, O people of paradise, now this life that you have been given is forever. There will never be an end to it. And there will be no death. So death is only once. And that death is the death that separates us from this life of this world and connects us to the life of hereafter. It's the bridge that takes us from this life to the life of hereafter. And they will say to the people of hellfire, dwellers of hellfire, Ya ashab al-nar, khulud, wala tamutun. That, O people of hellfire, your life that you have been given and the punishment that you have been given is forever, and you will never die. You will never see death. In some hadith it is mentioned that once the people of paradise have gone into paradise and the people of hellfire have gone into hellfire, death will be brought in form of an animal, in form of a ram, and it will be slaughtered. Once it is slaughtered, it is done. There is no more death after that. The concept of death will die itself. Death itself will die forever and ever. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala narrates that those people, when they learn that all the bounties and all the good things that we have been blessed with are forever, and all the people in hellfire, they will learn that their punishment will last forever. So the people of Jannah, they will say, Inna hada lahu al-fawzul azim. This is indeed the greatest triumph, the greatest success. لِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. For this kind of success, for this kind of triumph, everyone should work hard. For this kind of triumph, not the triumph that has no meaning, that has no value, that has no lasting. So for the triumph and for the success that will last forever, that will be most meaningful, everyone should work hard for it. لِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. Then Allah says, أَذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ نُزُلًا أَمْ شَجَرَةُ الزَّقُّومِ. Is this a better reward? What people of paradise will get, or the tree of Zaqqum. And let me ask you a question here at this moment. Do you think a tree can grow in fire? Because fire is something that destroys the life, that destroys a tree. So if there's fire, there's no tree. But here in Quran, Allah says that there is a tree in hellfire. In the hell, there is a tree, and that tree has its own name. And Allah says that tree is the tree of Zaqqum. So Allah says, is the reward that the people of paradise will get is better, or the punishment, or the tree which will be offered as the reward for the people of hellfire, the tree of Zaqqum? Then Allah describes Himself, what that tree is, because no one has ever seen it. So no one can ever describe it. But Allah is the one who created it. So Allah described it. Allah said, إِنَّهَا شَجَرَةٌ تَخْرُجُ فِي أَصْلِ الْجَحِيمِ. It is a tree that grows from the deepest part of hell. The Quran tells us that there are 7 layers of hellfire. 7 grades or 7 levels of hellfire. And each has a distinct and unique punishment that the other layer does not have. So this tree does not grow from the top of the hellfire, but from the most bottom part of the hellfire, the deepest part of the hellfire. This is where the roots of this tree are. إنها شجرة تخرج في أصل الجحيم طلعها كأنه رؤوس الشياطين. And the fruit of this tree, this is a tree that gives fruit, but not like the fruit that we like to see, not even in its shape. Allah says, طلعها كأنه رؤوس الشياطين. The fruit of this tree is like the shape of the head of shaitan. Now in Arabic culture, the head of shaitan or face of shaitan, although no one has ever seen it, and I believe it's in all cultures, we've never seen shaitan, and we've never seen his face, we've never seen his head, but all the things that we dislike and we abhor, we say this looks like shaitan, or this looks like the face of shaitan, or this looks like the head of shaitan. So all the terrible things that we imagine in our mind or we see in real life, we say this looks like the head of shaitan. All the beautiful things we say, this looks like an angel. That's why when the ladies in the time of Yusuf alayhi salam, when he was invited, when the queen had invited her friends, and Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was asked to appear before them. So when they saw Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, because of his beauty, they said, "In hada illa malakun kareem." He's a noble angel. Because of his beauty. So the things that are beautiful, we say that's like an angel. And the things that are horrible, that are terrible, that are ugly, we say this is like shaitan. This is like the face of shaitan. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, طَلْعُهَا كَأَنَّهُ رُؤُوسُ الشَّيَاطِينَ. The fruit of that tree is like the heads of shaitan. فَإِنَّهُمْ لَآكِلُونَ مِنْهَا. But the dwellers of hellfire will only get to eat the fruit of that tree. فَمَالِكُونَ مِنْهُ الْبُطُونَ. And they will fill their bellies through that. ثُمَّ إِنَّ لَهُمْ عَلَيْهَا لَشَوْبًا مِنْ حَمِيمٍ. On top of that, what they will get to drink is the mixture of boiling water. Hot boiling water. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save all of us from this. My point is that the tomorrow that is going to come for sure is the tomorrow of hereafter. And now let's examine our lives. How much energy, how much motion we put, and how much resources we dedicate towards the betterment of the life that is going to come forever, the tomorrow that is going to come for sure. And how much energy and how much resources and how much we spend towards the advancement of the tomorrow, that is illusory, and that is imaginary, and that is not certain. And let me tell you, there's a simple reason for that. Because we do so much for the tomorrow, which may be Saturday or another month or another year, is because we're surrounded by the conversations, by the talks. We talk to each other. Oh, okay, how are you going to survive tomorrow? What are we doing for tomorrow? What are we doing for next week? What are we doing for next month? What are we doing for next year? What are we doing in the next 10 years? But we never have these conversations with ourselves, to each other. What are we doing for the akhirah? How are we preparing for the akhirah? There is no media, there is no TV channel, there is no radio station that is asking us these questions, that is engaging us in these conversations. What are we doing to meet with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What are we doing for the life of hereafter? What are we doing for the tomorrow that is definite, that is certain? So, what we need to do, we need to have these conversations. We need to remind ourselves that the promise of Allah is for sure, is true, is certain, is definite. For the tomorrow of this world, Allah has made no promise. But for the tomorrow of hereafter, Allah has made the promise. So do we really believe in the promise of Allah or in the promise of others? If we really believe in the promise of Allah, and we want to elevate ourselves, and we want to prepare ourselves for that tomorrow and for the hereafter, then we need to work for that. Just like in this life, for success, we work hard. And for hereafter, a life will come which will never end. A time will come which will never expire. So how much effort should we make for that tomorrow? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to practice Sunnah Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ameen wa